What is the worst insult you've suffered from someone who didn't even mean it as an insult? Was moving on from a job, and on my second last day my manager says take tomorrow off, no one will miss you. He later informed me that he had meant that I should finish a day early and that no one would mind. Lol, that's the kind of phrasing that gives you anxiety for years afterwards. I, 35 meters, was getting dressed one morning and my daughter came in before I had my shirt on. She's like 4 at the time and says, "Oh, you have boobs like mommy." There was no recovering from that. Edit, added my gender, sex, whatever the right word is, as there seems to have been some confusion. 5-year-old asked me why I'm so hairy and how does she keep this from happening to her. 'Cause it's gross. When I was 5 I asked my aunt why was she so fat. She told me it was because she was pregnant and she would be slim again in no time. My rude ass then said, "Nah, I don't think you are gonna," and then ducked off to be a nuisance to my mother. My auntie did slim back down, so in a sense I'm glad she proved me wrong after that nasty comment. Oh God, something about how you phrased this reminded me of myself wreaking havoc as a kid. I knew my grandma and grandpa weren't together, so at a rare family gathering I asked Grandma, "Why aren't you and Grandpa together?" And she said, "He divorced me, honey." So then I went and asked him why he divorced her. I don't even remember what he said, cause I also ducked off to be a nuisance elsewhere. Found out years later that he left her because he had an affair with the woman he's been with since. Can't believe I was casually dragging all that up for my poor grandma at a birthday party. I started getting asked if I qualified for a senior discount in my 40s. During COVID, the local Meijer had a senior hour in the morning where older people could shop. I was mad because I come to work super early and I could make senior hour, but I'm in my early 40s. I was bitching to my coworker and she goes, "Just go and you'll pass for a senior citizen." My boss, pointing at me, said to others, "He may be fat, but he is most hardworking person here." A nicer way to say this would be, he is worth his weight in gold. I can just imagine the initial smile you might feel in response to that, gradually fading toward dejection over about 5 seconds. His work ethic to workout ethic ratio absolutely crushes the rest of you. They call him 0070 absences 0 ladies 7 meals a day. When studying martial arts, I had an instructor try to teach me why a particular feint never worked for me. In order for that feint to work, you opponent must first respect your ability to complete the strike. Everyone here knows your abilities, so they don't fall for it. It was factually and technically accurate, and I understand what he was telling me. But, after thinking about it for not very long, I realized what sick burn it was. I started jiu-jitsu, and getting your ass handed to you by literally everyone when you start, and learning to be humble was really eye-opening for me. In that context, I think I could see that your instructor was not trying to diss you, but help you improve by being honest. I was raised my whole life that you should never fail, but it has been so much easier and quite freeing that it is okay to fail, and that is part of improving. My best friend told me that I am only funny when I'm drunk. I was a recovering alcoholic and man did that hurt. Been there. I liked you better when you were still drinking once. Like WTF. You aren't even that ugly. I recently got a very bright, very obnoxious Pac-Man hoodie. It is without a doubt the loudest thing I own. As I was heading out the door for work, my 3-year-old told me, "Remember Dad, if people laugh at you, you can always take your sweatshirt off." The best part is he was genuinely just trying to give me some supportive advice. He just accidentally gave me the best burn I've received in years. Edit, thesweatshirtamger.com. Kids are the best for this. "Daddy, why don't you use your weights anymore? Is it because you got fat?" There was a little girl I used to babysit, but I got a new job and couldn't anymore. I visited her family about a year after and she says to me, "You got bigger." I know that that's probably what she hears all the time from adults who don't see her often, extended family, doctors, etc., but damn, I just burst out laughing when she told me. I said, "Thank you," and said she was bigger, too. My niece was talking to me one time and said something along the lines of, "Who was that other girl that lived here?" I was like, "It was me, I'm the only girl that lived here." To which she replied, "No, that girl was skinny." Absolutely demolished. I was getting asked out by someone who said, "I know other men don't find you attractive, but..." I politely declined. Sounds like someone who came from the negging school of pickup artistry. My kid told me they wanted to be ordinary like me when they grew up. If it helps you at all, if your kid was 10, ordinary is defined by you. So whether you're LeBron James or John Doe, you'd be the measure for a normal life. You see that in a lot of A-class celebs' kids, they're often highly unimpressed by their parents. I imagine it's hard to put someone who has wiped your arse on too high of a pedestal. That said, the older I get, the more respect I have of this particular act of care. When I was 25, I had bought a house in a suburb of a major city. One of my neighbors was elderly and came over to welcome me to the neighborhood. She asked if my wife lived with me, and I just stated I lived alone. She goes, "Oh yeah, the person that lived here before was a lonely guy too." Ducking, ouch, Elizabeth. Old people with no ducks to give and no filter is a potent combination. It was savage, but she ended up being really sweet and one of my favorite neighbors. I mentored her grandkids a little bit because they had a little rough go of it. Getting on an adult ride at the fair, operator says to me, "Ma'am, you can't ride this if you are pregnant." I was not pregnant. My dad was a smoker most of his life. When I was around 4, I didn't want to imagine my dad as an old man, so I told him, "Keep smoking so you can die young." He didn't die of smoking, I guess. You murdered him right there. I dunno, a burn like that might involve some smoke. I'm a quiet man and I was an even quieter kid. I got invited over to some kid's house to play. Another kid there said that they only invited me over because they felt bad for me. He said it with no malice, in passing. I'm 33 now and it still stings. A good friend's girlfriend told me, "I love how not girly you are and how you don't care about how you look." I think she genuinely meant it as a compliment, but both of those things were news to me. I love how you just wear whatever from a friend I was into once. Took me like 4 years till I remembered it and went, oh, I was getting roasted. Someone once told me, "I admire how practical you always dress. But I just always need to look cute." Joke's on her, I always have pockets. One time, a girl I really disliked, we never had a fight or anything like that, I just really found her to be annoying and dumb, said we were similar in personality. I've heard it said that some of the people we dislike are those most similar to ourselves, because we see in them the things we hate about ourselves. It's certainly not always true, but it does explain why I sometimes want to strangle my sister. Defiantly true for this guy I used to work with. He reminded me of everything I hated about myself, and I already hated myself to begin with. I really took it out on him, which wasn't fair. In middle school, the girl I had a crush on said I looked like a falcon. Never quite figured out how to take that one. Strong aquiline jaw, sharp eyes, and giant ducking talons for feet. Small streamlined body, flappy arms, picky diet. After being accused of dyeing my hair, a friend said I clearly don't dye my hair as nobody would choose shit-colored hair. I said, "Thank you," loudly, then after a beat said, "Wait, what?" I was sitting with my friends in class and I see a guy from the corner of my eye having a discussion with his friend about what kind nerds we are, and I overheard him say, "You don't have to worry about those ones, they're not the Columbine freaks, they're just harmless weirdos." Gee, thanks. After a particularly satisfying love-making session, my wife turned to me and went to say, "You never fail to please." What she actually said was, "You never fail to disappoint." No, I never let her forget that one. One of my high school outreach programs was tutoring kids in English. When their first language was Filipino, they made a thank you card that I assume intended to thank me for working hard. It said, "Thank you for hardly working." I'm an Eiffel teacher. I get things like this every dang day. I love them.